No bail for construction worker charged with stealing phone. Kaiser News. A 23-year-old construction worker, Marlon Rodriguez, has been remanded to prison after appearing at the Georgetown Magistrates Court to face a charge of robbery under arms. Details of the case. Accusation: Rodriguez, residing at 1A Guy Hawk Park, Perry Street, Georgetown, is accused of robbing Rupnarine Kirpal of a cell phone valued at $34,000 while armed with a knife on January 13, 2025, at Commerce Street, Georgetown. Court appearance: Rodriguez appeared before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty, pleaded not guilty, and the prosecution objected to bail. They cited the seriousness of the offense and the associated penalties. According to the prosecution, on the day of the incident, Kirpal was near Commerce Street around 5 p.m. when Rodriguez allegedly approached him and stole his cell phone. An alarm was raised, prompting bystanders to chase Rodriguez. He was later spotted and apprehended by a police officer on duty. During the arrest, the stolen phone and the knife used in the robbery were recovered from Rodriguez. Kirpal subsequently identified both Rodriguez and the stolen phone at the police station. Rodriguez, who did not have legal representation, was remanded to prison and is scheduled to return to court on February 5, 2025, for further proceedings. Prison officer jailed for 3 years for Ganja at Mazaruni prison. Source: Kaiser News. A 21-year-old prison officer, Joel Johnson, has been sentenced to 3 years in prison after pleading guilty to a charge of narcotics possession at the Bartica Magistrates Court. Details of the case. Charge: Johnson was charged with possession of narcotics for the purpose of trafficking under Section 5(1)(a)(I) of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Act, Chapter 1010. Incident: on January 14, 2025, Johnson was found in possession of 804 grams of cannabis at the Mazaruni prison checkpoint/scanning area. The cannabis was concealed in 8 soap boxes and 2 Colgate toothpaste boxes, all wrapped in transparent plastic. Court proceedings. Appearing before Magistrate Tariq Mohammed, Johnson pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 3 years in prison along with a fine of $30,000. Arrest and discovery. According to police reports, Johnson returned from a 4-day leave and was subjected to a mandatory search upon his return. During the inspection, a green haversack he presented was examined, leading to the discovery of the suspected cannabis. Arrest. The other prison officer on duty identified the substance, leading to Johnson's immediate arrest. The matter was reported to the police, and officers responded, taking Johnson and the narcotics to the Bartica police station, where the drugs were weighed, confirming a total of 804 grams. Attempted murder conviction. Man freed after appeal court. Guyana Times. Samuel Infias Shaw, also known as Taliban and Arno, has been released from prison after the Court of Appeal reduced his sentence for attempted murder from 17 years to time served. Shaw had been convicted in 2016 for the attempted murder of Bajai Ramdas, known as Bruckback, during a violent altercation on January 16, 2012, at Crabwood Creek, Quarantine. Appeal Court Decision. The decision was delivered by Justice Yannette Cummings Edwards on Wednesday. Shaw's successful appeal challenged the severity of his original sentence, citing discrepancies in sentencing practices, mitigating factors, including a favorable probation report and a lack of prior convictions. In her ruling, Justice Cummings Edwards stated, "In the circumstances, we allow the appeal against sentence. The conviction of the appellant stands, but the appeal against sentence is allowed, and the sentence of the appellant is thereby reduced to the time that would have been served in custody." Businessman and wife robbed by armed men at EBD home. Newsroom. On January 16, 2025, an armed robbery occurred at the home of businessman Neon Ray and his wife, Askale Ray, in the Perseverance Housing Scheme, East Bank Demerara, around 1945 HRS. Details of the incident. The couple was returning home after a day's work when 2 armed men jumped the fence into their property. The suspects, both described as males of African descent and reportedly armed with handguns, confronted the couple outside their residence. The robbers demanded cash and valuables, which the Ray couple handed over without resistance. Stolen items included 1 Guyanese passport, various personal documents, 2 Samsung A35 mobile phones, valued at approximately $136,000, a sum of $125,000 in Guyanese currency. After the theft, the suspects fled the scene on foot, escaping over the fence. Background and investigation. Neon Ray had just returned from his wholesale beverage depot in Ruimveldt Gardens shortly before the robbery occurred. Investigators are actively following leads to identify the suspects involved in this brazen crime. Fortunately, no injuries were reported, but the couple is understandably shaken by the traumatic experience. Police are urging anyone with information about the robbery or the whereabouts of the suspects to come forward. The investigation into the robbery is ongoing, and local authorities are working diligently to ensure justice is served and to enhance safety in the community. Cybercrime charges dismissed Againist Police Sergeant Bascom. HGP Nightly News, the cybercrime charges brought against Detective Sergeant of the Guyana Police Force Dion Bascom in September of 2022 have been dismissed because the prosecution failed to prove its case. Nightly News understands that Magistrate Laron Daly upheld a no-case submission. In fact, the court found that the prosecution failed to lead any evidence that it was Detective Sergeant Dion Bascom who transmitted the electronic data. Superintendents of Police Mitchell Caesar and Chabanoth Singh wanted the court to find that they were emotionally distressed and that Bascom allegedly, on August 13, 2022, used a computer system to transmit electronic data with intent to humiliate and harass them. Bascom, who pleaded not guilty to the charges, was released on $300,000 bail. In August of 2022, Bascom made bombshell allegations on a live broadcast on Facebook accusing senior ranks within the Guyana police force of corruption, bribery, and the alleged cover-up of the murder investigation of Ricardo Fagundes, who was shot several times on Main Street on March 21, 2021. Banks DIH records over $10.5 billion in after-tax profit. Local conglomerate Banks DIH Limited has announced a successful financial year, reporting an after-tax profit of $10.563 billion for 2024. This marks a 17.76% increase from the previous year's profit of $8.970 billion. The company paid over $6 billion in taxes during this period. Total revenue achieved $48.844 billion, representing an 11% increase compared to the previous year. Profit growth. The increase in profit reflects the company's commitment to strategic initiatives and operational efficiency improvements. Strategic initiatives. Chairman and Managing Director Clifford Reese highlighted several initiatives that contributed to this success. New product launches. Several new products were introduced last year, receiving positive customer feedback. Operational efficiency. The company has focused on enhancing processes and signed a 3-year salary increase agreement with its workers' union. Capital investments. Significant investments were made in new plants, machinery, and equipment to boost manufacturing capacity and efficiency. Power generation. Upgraded generators were added to improve power generation capacity. Future plans. Looking ahead to the 2025 financial year, Banks DIH plans to acquire a new beer bottling plant and a beer canning line to meet increasing demand. Continue building and promoting its global brand while celebrating its resilience in overcoming challenges. Connection to Citizens Bank. Banks DIH Limited owns 51% of Citizens Bank, which also reported a 15% increase in after-tax profit, contributing to the overall positive outlook for the conglomerate. The results from Banks DIH Limited indicate strong performance and strategic growth, positioning the company for continued success in the competitive market. Citizens Bank posts over $2 billion in profit for 2024. Citizens Bank Guyana Incorporated, a 51% subsidiary of Banks DIH Limited, has reported a strong financial performance for 2024, achieving an after-tax profit of $2.244 billion. This marks an increase of $298 million, or 15.3%, compared to $1.946 billion in 2023. Profit before tax increased by $500 million, 15.3%, reaching $3.764 billion, up from $3.246 billion the previous year. Revenue. Total revenue rose to $7.065 billion, reflecting a significant growth of $1.466 billion, 26.18%, compared to $5.599 billion in 2023. Net interest income, reported at $5.515 billion. Earnings per share, recorded at $37.71. Total asset base, expanded to $130.6 billion. Loan assets, increased by 15.6%, $8.1 billion, rising from $52.0 billion to $60.1 billion. The financial results, highlighted in Banks DIH's 2024 report titled, The Journey to Success, demonstrate Citizens Bank's robust growth and strong market position in the financial sector. The bank's ability to significantly increase its revenue and profit underscores its effective operational strategies and commitment to serving its clients. Stewartville businesswoman charged with fraud. Adacia Coleman, a 31-year-old businesswoman from Lot 122 Stewartsville Old Road, West Coast, Demerara, has been charged with 2 counts of obtaining money by false pretense. The charges stem from allegations of fraud involving 95 victims through her business, Limitless Lenders, between January and December 2024. Allegations against Coleman. Coleman is accused of defrauding victims of cash amounts ranging from $300,000 to $1 million. Investigations revealed that victims paid cash for specific vehicles, receiving receipts and a promise of delivery within 3 months. However, when the delivery date arrived, Coleman repeatedly cited reasons related to a storm in the Caribbean for the delay. As frustration grew among the victims, some demanded refunds. Coleman attempted to return their money via MMG or bank checks, but many insisted on receiving cash. She ultimately provided 9 post-dated Demerara bank checks, which were later rejected by the bank without explanation when the victims attempted to cash them. Legal proceedings. Following the investigation, 5 files related to the bank checks were compiled and sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, for legal advice. The DPP recommended charges for 2 of those files, while further investigations were requested for 3 others. Additionally, files for the remaining 86 cases are being prepared for submission to the DPP. On January 7, 2025, Coleman voluntarily turned herself in to the police at the Leonora police station with her lawyer. She was informed of the allegations and placed in custody. Court appearance. Coleman appeared in the Leonora Magistrate Court No. 2 before Her Worship Ms. Abe George, where she pleaded not guilty to the charges. She was remanded to prison until January 31, 2025, for further reporting and fixture. This case highlights ongoing concerns regarding financial fraud and the protection of consumers in the region. The investigation continues as authorities work to address the grievances of the affected victims. Nothing promised to James Bond. Jagdeo comments on endorsement. Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo has spoken out about the recent endorsement of President Irfan Ali by PNC member James Bond, suggesting that it reflects a significant political shift toward the People's Progressive Party Civic, PPP/C. Key points from Jagdeo's statement. Voluntary alignment. Jagdeo emphasized that no promises were made to Bond in exchange for his support, asserting that Bond's decision aligns with the PPP's vision for Guyana's future. Disillusionment in opposition. He noted that the growing number of defections from the opposition, particularly the People's National Congress Reform, PNC/R, and a Partnership for National Unity, APNU, indicates fragmentation and disillusionment within these parties. He stated, "People are jumping ship in large numbers because they don't want to go down in a sinking racist ship that PNC and APNU are in." Historical context. Jagdeo pointed out that Bond is just one of many who have switched allegiance to the PPP over recent years, highlighting that this trend is not new. He remarked, "There have been droves of others over the years making the journey over to us." Comparative success. He compared Bond's situation to that of Kwame McCoy, a former PNC member who has found success within the PPP, noting that McCoy received recognition and support, in contrast to Bond's experiences in the PNC. Rejection of patronage claims. Jagdeo firmly rejected any claims that Bond's endorsement was motivated by promises of financial gain or political favors. He stated, "Nothing was promised to James Bond. He voluntarily decided to support Irfan Ali and the PPP's agenda. This is something we welcome." He added that the PPP operates without the use of patronage or contract promises. Addressing criticism. In response to criticisms labeling Bond a house slave for aligning with the PPP, Jagdeo dismissed these insults, arguing that such attacks only serve to strengthen the party's support base. Jagdeo's comments reinforce the PPP's position as it navigates political changes and the shifting allegiances within Guyana's political landscape. The endorsement by Bond has sparked discussions about the future of the opposition and the ongoing evolution of political affiliations in the country. Guyana extradites fugitive Parmanand Singh to the United States. On January 15, 2025, the government of Guyana successfully extradited Parmanand Singh, a Guyanese citizen, to the United States to address judicial matters stemming from a fatal vehicular incident. Background of the extradition. In September 2024, the U.S. government submitted a formal extradition request for Singh. Acting on this request, the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Robeson Ben, directed Chief Magistrate, A.G. Faith McGusty, to initiate the necessary legal proceedings. Singh waived his right to an extradition hearing, consenting to return to the U.S. Charges against Singh. Singh is accused of operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level exceeding the lawful limit, resulting in impaired faculties. He was involved in a collision that led to the death of another vehicle's sole occupant. Following the accident, Singh sustained injuries and was treated at Broward Health Medical Center in Florida. During his treatment, 2 blood samples were collected and analyzed, revealing blood alcohol concentrations of 0.157 g/dl and 0.158 g/dl, well above Florida's legal limit of 0.08 g/dl for driving. Legal proceedings. Singh's extradition was executed under a warrant issued by Chief Magistrate, A.G. Faith McGusty. The U.S. prosecution team included Ms. Lisa Cave, Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions, Ms. Ormella Gladstone, Treaty Officer at the Ministry of Home Affairs, and Sergeant Stephen Hines from the Major Crimes Unit, who served as the investigating officer. On January 3, 2025, Singh was committed to custody for extradition and remained in custody until his transfer was completed on January 15. This extradition highlights Guyana's commitment to international cooperation and its dedication to ensuring that justice is served across borders. The case illustrates the serious implications of impaired driving and the ongoing efforts to address such offenses globally. Young mother loses twins after premature birth at GPHC, blames misleading ultrasound. Qaeda News. A heartbreaking tragedy unfolded at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, GPHC, when a young mother lost her twins, who were delivered extremely premature at just 27 weeks. Details of the incident. The mother, only 18 years old, was informed during an ultrasound at the Mahayakoni Cottage Hospital at 21 weeks of pregnancy that she was expecting a single child. However, after experiencing severe abdominal pain, she went into labor and learned that she was actually carrying twins. According to her partner, 21-year-old Chavez Nankishore, the twins were born on Friday, but the firstborn tragically died just minutes after delivery, while the second twin passed away 2 days later on Sunday. Nankishore described the sequence of events. When she reached GPHC, about 3 minutes later she had the first child, and then they transported her to the maternity side where she had the other twin. Concerns over medical oversight. Following the tragic loss, Nankishore consulted with doctors from a private institution who expressed concerns over the ultrasound results. They indicated that knowing about the twins earlier could have led to different medical interventions. Nankishore stated, "The doctors said that it was an early pregnancy. Well, we didn't know she was having twins. They said if we did know, there are special steps to take in this type of situation because she would have had to go to the clinic more often." The couple was devastated, with Nankishore emphasizing the emotional toll of losing their children, describing it as beyond explanation. Context and hospital response. In a statement, the GPHC noted that the twins received the best possible treatment but unfortunately succumbed to their conditions despite medical interventions. The hospital has faced scrutiny in the past regarding maternal and neonatal health, although it reported lower rates of maternal and neonatal deaths in 2024 compared to previous years. The case raises important questions about the accuracy of prenatal diagnostics and the implications of misdiagnoses on maternal and neonatal health. As the young couple navigates their grief, the community is reminded of the critical importance of thorough medical assessments during pregnancy. Jagdeo criticizes APNU+AFC Desperation ahead of elections. Newsroom. Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo has publicly criticized the opposition coalition APNU+AFC, labeling their recent tactics as signs of desperation as the country approaches the upcoming elections. He asserts that the coalition's arguments are increasingly rooted in racial narratives and unfounded claims. Rebuttal of declining Indo-Guyanese claims. Jagdeo dismissed opposition assertions that the Indo-Guyanese population is in decline, which they argue could jeopardize the PPP/C's chances in the elections. He noted that similar claims have been made for decades, yet the PPP/C continues to secure electoral victories despite these alleged demographic shifts. National versus ethnic politics. He emphasized that the PPP successes stem from engaging in national politics rather than fostering ethnic or racial divides. He referred to the narrow victory of the opposition in 2015, when they won by only 4,600 votes, suggesting that their reliance on ethnic politics is a weakness. Warning of disappointment. Jagdeo predicted that the opposition would face disappointment again, citing the PPP/C's appeal across various ethnic groups, contrasting it with the APNU+AFC's reliance on an ethnic enclave. Critique of new political parties. Jagdeo also addressed the proliferation of new political parties emerging ahead of the elections, referring to them as zero parties. He criticized the ease of registering such parties in Guyana, stating, "There are no consequences to printing a name on the ballot." He described many of these new parties as one-man parties with little to no support, labeling them as nuisances that merely complicate the political landscape. He stated, "These are merely nuisance parties. They serve no purpose other than to muddy the political waters." Coalition of nothing. Jagdeo accused the opposition of attempting to embrace these new, seemingly insignificant parties to form a larger coalition, which he termed a coalition of nothing. He expressed concern that this reflects the PNC's extreme level of desperation to maintain political relevance. As the election season progresses, Dr. Jagdeo anticipates that the opposition's tactics will become increasingly desperate, with more zero parties likely to emerge. His remarks underscore the ongoing political tensions in Guyana as parties gear up for the electoral battle ahead.